Hello, this is Doug Martin, and I'm your new head football coach at New Mexico State. And when I say I'm your head football coach, I do mean that. I understand I'm here to work for you and to make this program better. I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things today that we want to move the program in a different direction and how we're going to do that, what's going to be different, how the thing's going to impact the program immediately. So I thank you for giving me the time to talk with you a little bit. The first thing is we got a great resource here with the city of Las Cruces and this campus, which really have not been utilized primarily from the football program standpoint. There's a lot of things that we could get involved with here that would really enhance our program, get more community involvement, get students involved, and that's been our fault as a football program. We've not really reached out and got that done. A couple of ways I want to get that accomplished is just the visibility of our staff and our players, number one. I want the players visible in the community. I want our staff visible in the community. I want us visible on the campus. A lot of things that we could get involved with. Last week alone, our football team did 102 hours of community service, which was far beyond what we've ever done before. And we're already getting great feedback from people in the community and on the campus about what we're doing. So I think, once we make people in Las Cruces feel like they're a part of this program, like they can take ownership of this program, we'll get people in the stands. But they have to feel like they know us. They have to feel like they're friends with us, that they can come up and speak with us, whether it's a player, a coach, whoever it is. And that's our fault. We've got to get out and reach out to the community and make that happen. So we're already in the process of getting involved in the schools, boys clubs, youth programs, everything we can possibly get involved with as coaches and players. Not to mention here on the campus. When I was a head coach at Kent State, my wife, Vicki, did a great job of getting the sororities involved in our football program. She was a Chi Omega at the University of Kentucky, and so she went to the Chi House at Kent State and got those girls involved in some tailgating things and things with the football. And of course, what we got from the sororities we got the fraternities interested. You get one, you're going to get the other. And those are some great organizations for us to partner up with, not only as coaches, but as players. To help get some student attention. There's other activities here on this campus, other student organizations that we're going to get involved with to get those things done. One of the other areas that we've got to do a better job of is with former players. I've already begun to track former players, to get an email list put together so that I can email these guys weekly about the progress we're making as a team, weekly during the fall, what we're facing this week as the games go on. Just give them some inside information that they haven't gotten before. The players I've reached back to so far been outstanding. Joe Pisarcik is coming back for the spring game, first time since 1972. He's been back on the campus, gotten that same reaction from a lot of other guys. So again, we have another real resource there that has been untapped that we're really looking forward to getting those guys back involved and have already begun that process. One area that's going to be really different for us is recruiting. I know one of the problems is there's not many New Mexico kids in our football program right now. The other problem is there's not going to be 20 Division I-A scholarship athletes in New Mexico every year. So how do we get New Mexico kids involved in this football program from a recruiting standpoint? And I'll tell you how we've already started it is through a comprehensive walk-on program. We've got right now 10 young men from New Mexico that are going to walk on the football program here next year. That's probably twice the number that we've been getting in years past. That is an area that we can really enhance the program just by encouraging kids in this state to come here and walk on. Number one is in 2 years, those young men are going to develop, and there's going to be several of them that are going to end up earning scholarships. At the worst, they're going to come and be involved in a Division I program. They're going to benefit for being part of the football team, and we're going to benefit for having more New Mexico kids in our football program. People from their high schools are going to come keep up with them, see how they're doing. It's going to gain us more interest in the state, and that has already begun to help us. The other area is how we recruit. Quite honestly, we've been much too involved with junior college recruiting and transfers. We're really going to gear back to making high school recruiting the backbone of what we do here as far as building a program. We're transitioning to Texas being more of a recruiting base for us. It was California in the past. We're going to have 2 coaches still recruit California, but we're going to have 5 coaches recruiting in Texas. When you look at our team, that's where we're getting the best football players right now. And so we really want to hammer that area as hard as we possibly can. We've got a lot of former players that are head coaches and assistant coaches in Texas that are great outlets for us also. Phoenix is another area we're going to hit really hard that hasn't been hit before, along with New Mexico, and then Colorado being a little bit of a base for us also. So those areas of recruiting are a gigantic shift for us. The walk-on program is a gigantic change for us. And then the recruiting phase of how we find players. We're not going to get the finished product here. We're not going to get the 6'4", 300-pound offensive lineman. We've got to be great evaluators. We've got to go and look at kids, particularly here in the state, and say, okay, what is this young man going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now? So we've got to evaluate much better than what we've done in the past. If doing that, we'll be able to attract more New Mexico kids as scholarship athletes, and we'll be able to get better products from other states. We've already got one commitment from a young man here in New Mexico that we feel like 2 years down the road, he's going to be a great player. We've already offered a couple more here in New Mexico for the 2014 season by evaluating and projecting what they're going to be like. So those are some tremendous changes for us from a recruiting standpoint that I think are really going to enhance our football program. One of the other things we've begun here is a team competition. I think it's real important that we do a lot of team building here to get our players to know each other, get our players involved in some things. We had a players' vote, where they voted on the top 6 leaders for our football team. I took those 6 young men and brought them in, told them we're going to have a competition where you guys are going to draft your own team from everybody else that's left, and we're going to compete against each other weekly. So they drafted their own team. The interesting part of that is the players on our team that were drafted in the last 2 rounds, that tells you something as a coach. Those are the guys that they don't really trust right now. And so I was able to talk to those young men drafted in the last 2 rounds to explain to them they got to change their perception of people on this team. Also shows you who they really trust. The players that drafted in the first 2 rounds, those are guys that these people really think are guys that they can go to war with, guys that they can trust, guys that they know are going to do things the right way. The competition is set up like this. They get positive points for any A's or B's they get in school, sitting in the first 2 rows of a class when we check class, not missing any class, getting all their study hall hours, doing extra study hall hours, doing community service, and obviously getting good grades in the workouts that we're doing right now. So it's not just an athletic contest, it's an overall accountability contest. Now they get negative points by getting any D's or F's on a grade, missing a class, not getting study hall hours in, a lack of community service, and of course getting poor grades in the weight room or practices, things we're doing. At the end of the week, the winning team gets a break from conditioning that day. The losing team comes in at 6 a.m. that morning to do extra conditioning. So it begins to build an accountability. If you and I are on the same team and our team lost because I didn't go to class, you're going to come and find out why I didn't go to class. So we're starting to build them in a leadership role. We're starting to build them in an accountability role. We're making them get to know each other, because it's not just by position, it's offensive and defensive players together here. This program so far has been outstanding for us. It's encouraging our players to do community service. We had 52 guys that did extra study hall hours last week. They're getting to know each other. They're competing. They're learning how to get along as a team. So that competition has been really good for us. It's been a big hit in the community because it's gotten out what we're doing, and people are really appreciating the progress we're making here already. One of the things we had is all the players went to the UTEP basketball game, wore their football uniforms. It was a great night for them. Basketball team won. It was a great win. And it was a great way for us to get started in the community there. We gave all of them points that went to that game. So that's one of the things we're doing to get things going as far as internally and get the football team started.
Last one, move up, get up. Good, rack it.
The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is our coaching staff. I really feel like our administration has done a great job of helping me put together a good staff. They've made a commitment to get guys here that can teach winning football, can recruit, have experience, and I'm really excited about what we've gotten done here. We hired Greg Brandon to be our offensive coordinator. Greg was the head coach at Bowling Green when I was the head coach at Kent State, so we competed against each other, and I know what a quality job he did there. And He was the offense coordinator at Wyoming the last couple of years. Wyoming was in the New Mexico Bowl just a year ago. Greg's quarterback was a conference player of the year. He's one of the best spread offensive minds in the country right now. And one of the great things about Greg was when I got the job, he called me wanting to come here. I didn't call him. I was shocked that he wanted to be here, but when he said he wanted to come, that's what I was looking for. I want coaches here that want to be here, not that are looking for a stepping stone job, things like that. I want somebody to invest, to believe in what we're doing here, and Greg is that. So I'm really excited about having him here. Bart Miller we hired as the offensive line coach. Bart was a graduate coach when I was here before in 2011. He left, went to Wisconsin, was a graduate coach at Wisconsin, and last year was the offensive line coach at Wisconsin. Went all the way to the Rose Bowl with those guys. So, we've got a guy as a coordinator that's been a head coach before. We've got an offensive line coach that has coached in the Rose Bowl. That's a great start for an offensive staff. And then Sean Johnson returns as our running back coach. Todd Littlejohn as our wide receiver coach. Both those guys I've worked with before. Really good coaches, really good recruiters. Kevin McKeithen I hired as our tight end coach, who'd been a GA here, had worked with me before and does a good job there. The defensive side of the ball, you'll see a dramatic change. Dave Ellison will return as our defense coordinator, but when Dave was here before, he had to run, basically Coach Walker's defensive scheme. That was not the defensive scheme that Dave's accustomed to, or what he wants to do. He and I talked and very much on the same lines. We're going to be a 3-4 team, a big zone pressure team. We're going to be a big disguise team. We're going to attack defensively, probably put more linebackers on the field to get more athletic. We're going to play with speed because that's what we do have here. We don't have as much size up front as what most teams do, especially at the BCS level, but we do have team speed. So we're going to use that speed and be an attack defense. Romeo Brandison returns as our defensive line coach. Will Martin as our outside linebacker coach. I hired Zane Vance to be our inside linebacker coach. Zane worked with me at Kent State. He's a great recruiter, a really good fundamental coach. So there'll be a real change on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to coordinate the special teams myself. I think that's one of the most important parts of the job is to win with special teams. And when your head coach is involved in that, I think that makes a big point to the players that they get involved in that. So that's how we're going to attack things from a staff standpoint. The schedule this year, I would just tell you this: it's a great home schedule. And don't believe all the hype of what you're saying of, oh man, that's just too tough to play, all that. No, it's not. There's some great opportunities here for us. When I was here before, we beat Minnesota. We got Minnesota here at home this year, and that's going to be a great game for us here in Las Cruces. Have a Big Ten team come here to town to play in front of our students and our crowd and get them here on our home turf. That's a very winnable football game. We have Boston College here at home. Well, I was at Boston College last year. I know their talent level very well. That's a winnable football game. UTEP here at home. Tremendous game to have here at home, obviously. San Diego State, another great home game. So, there's a great, attractive home schedule for us to sell this year. 7 home football games. That hasn't happened here before. Big Ten ACC teams coming in here. Couldn't be any better for us. Obviously, the road games, we open up with Texas. We have UCLA on the road. Those are opportunities for us. But that is a schedule that we're going to attack. It's a schedule we're excited about and something we can really improve our football team from. Playing those bigger teams when we get to our mid-major level, those will only have made us better and better prepared when we get to the mid-major part of our schedule. So I'm really excited about what we've got here as a football program. I would tell you our administration is doing a great job helping us. We hired a second strength coach for football. We've gotten the nutritional part of things worked out here already. We need your all's help. We need your help with the Football Success Fund, the Goal Line Club. Any monies you give are going to go to immediately impact this football program. I'm looking for things that can help us win right now, not 10 years down the road, not 5 years down the road. There are things we can do right now that will change this football program, and you need to be a part of that. And then jump on now, because it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get this city excited about this football team. We're going to get this campus excited about this football team. We're going to be an exciting football team to watch, and I can't wait to see you next season when we open up here at home. Thanks again.